Good evening, everybody. Welcome to One Finance Masterclass. My name is Sonam Khatri. I'm going to be your host for the evening. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. At One Finance, we are always focused at equipping you and helping you or educating you to increase your understanding of your personal finances. We educate you at every step. At One Finance, we are focused at holistic financial planning. There are a lot of parts of this financial planning, and at One Finance, through this masterclass, we are sharing you all the details or decoding every aspect for you so that you can master your personal finances. Today's topic is health insurance, an important part of emergency planning as an aspect of your financial planning as a whole. So today, let's start the masterclass with us at One Finance because we are always focused on qualified financial advisory, and that's why we have a qualified financial advisor again with us to decode this health insurance for us. I'd like to welcome Nisha Sanghavi over here with us. She's a director and founder at Promotech fintech, and most importantly she's a very important part of a member, or she's a member of our advisory committee Mumbai chapter. Nisha Sanghavi, welcome you today, please.
Hello, Sonam.
Hi, Nisha. Thank you so much for joining us
My
today.
pleasure.
Before I let the floor for you open, I will request all our audience, if you all have any questions anytime during the session, request you all to please put it in the comment section. We'll be taking some questions at the last 10 minutes. How many other questions we can cover, we'll definitely try, or else Nisha Shangvi herself will reply them later after whenever she sees your comment section over there. So the floor is yours. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much for
much.
being there today with us.
Thank you so much, Sonam. Hello, friends. Let's start with the most boring topic. I'll try to make it interesting. So, health insurance. Whenever we talk about health insurance, it generally strikes upon that well, do I need it? I already have it through my corporate. How much do I have it? Right. So these are some questions which keep pondering, and sometimes we try to just delay it or just procrastinate that I don't need it. So today we'll make sure that we decode the health insurance bit for you in a simpler way. So here are some statistics that you can see where we've taken up the, output from Mint Genie and also Outlook. So here you can see 55% of respondents said that they have planned for medical emergencies. So people have actually planned for medical emergencies. Then we have 32% admit that they do not monitor their health regularly. So we all can work really well. We are good at our skill set, but we don't look at our focus on our health, right? Unless there's a bigger break or something like that which turns up and makes you sick, or makes you stop working, right? That's a situation which arises, and that time you go back and rethink that do I really need to focus on my health. So 32% admit that they do not monitor their health. So an important parameter that your weight and your blood pressure you need to monitor if you are a Gen Z, Gen Y, and all of this. So then we look at another parameter which says 50%, 51.6% understand the requirement and have planned for emergencies. So these are the first two ones which we talk about emergencies. And then we talk about 42.6% in the past year has thought that health insurance comes first. These are very, very integral part of your financial planning. I'm sure in the previous masterclass you would have learned from Viral about your emergencies, right? So one of the pillar of your emergencies is health insurance. So we'll go ahead on this. Okay, so why do you need insurance? Very critical part to understand. If you say a tick to at least three of this, you have got the idea and you have to go and buy your health insurance. So, first important reason why you need health insurance, it protects your life saving. So, example, you might say that I have a corporate cover, or I am fit, I don't need an insurance. So, at that point of time, if a ailment is caught upon, right? So, if you have a hospitalization, and that hospitalization might take away all your life savings. So when that is a situation, then you should be ready that okay, I am fit, I don't need an insurance, so I would rather just go ahead and do as savings that I'm doing. So in that case, then this is one of the biggest reason. Instead of your life savings going away, you would rather plan for a health insurance which will save your savings when an emergency comes up. Then the next point we talk about is safeguard your family. So when we talk about safeguarding your family, so apart from yourself, say you work for a corporate where only you are covered and your parents or your dependents aren't covered. At that point of time, if you've taken a health insurance, which is a comprehensive plan, we're going to cover that ahead today. You've taken that, it covers your family also. Then the third point that we talk about is fight lifestyle diseases. So if you go back on numbers and statistics, uh, hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol, these are three major ailments which actually stops you from getting a better insurance. And if you're, it's a chronic ailment, so it does not, once you catch up, it does not go away very easily. So if these are things which are going to be part of your life, then you definitely need a health insurance. Then we talk about overcoming medical inflation. So COVID taught us very easily, right? The importance, the right insurance that you need, the importance of the insurance that you need to have. So example, very important, right? So see, you have an ailment and your corporate, you have only a corporate cover which says 3 lakhs. You can't tell your ailment, boss 3 lakhs ही है. इससे ज़्यादा महंगा नहीं हो सकता है. So then at that point of time, how will you get treated? Right? So you need to make sure that you have your own health insurance policy apart from your corporate cover. So in that situation, whatever the ailments, you can cover it from your corporate cover also, and also your independent policy will help you. Then the next point we specially speak about is tax benefit. We are in the in month of July. Tax season filing is going on, and if you didn't, ending up paying taxes. Then you rather buy a health insurance today for the next financial year, which is the running one. You can actually claim a 80D deduction, right? So these are very important criteria where your health insurance reasons to buy health insurance. So we go to the next slide, which is going to be little complicated, but we'll try to make it as simple as we can. So what are the different forms of health insurance? So mediclaim क्या है, health insurance क्या है, सब same है, सिर्फ हमने उसको beautify नाम कर दिया health insurance. So here if you see the chart, very beautifully defined out here, one is indemnity based. When we talk about indemnity based, it's basically that it's recurring. You can use it multiple times in one policy year or continuous policy years. Then we talk about fixed benefits. So fixed benefits is nothing, but if you use it, the policy might shut. So these are major difference between an insurance policy, which is fixed benefits, and indemnity benefit. Then we talk about top up, something which is very catchy, top up, super top up. We'll cover that also. Then we speak about indemnity based. When we say indemnity based, mein kya aayega? It's like typically comprehensive health insurance, which is you're considering your personal policy if you're an individual. Then if you say if there is a family floater, if you're covering, say, your family members, self, spouse, and dependent children. Then we speak about parents. So these could all form part of the comprehensive health insurance. Then we speak about personal accident. One of my favorite insurance that I try to cover in major of my conversations with anyone who I'm talking to about insurance. We all travel for work. We travel from workplace to home and vice versa. So if, especially we are in a city like Mumbai, and suppose I'm riding a bike or driving a car, or even maybe if I'm traveling in Mumbai local or traveling in a bus, and suppose I meet with an accident, and if there's a disability, then what happens? Who will pay for it? Because I don't get hospitalized, but there's a disability. Who will pay? Yes, the personal accident policy will pay. Very integral part when you're trying to create a insurance portfolio for yourself. So a personal accident does not cost much. Generally, say 12 rupees for a lakh is generally the criteria. So your income will identify what is your sum insured that you should be having. Then we talk about in further indemnity, we'll cover on individual. So if you're single or you're a single person, not married, or just one person who does not have any dependent which can be covered under a family, then you should be buying your own policy, which is individual policy. And suppose say you are married with children, you definitely can go and opt for a floater. Now when you opt for a floater, what does it mean? Between an individual and a floater plan, in an individual, you have, say, my own policy, I'm covered for X amount. Now we take a family floater of the same amount. Say, I have a 10 lakhs individual, I add spouse, I add children, so it becomes a family floater of 10 lakhs with all the four people covered in. Now, interestingly, you might say that we should be having a 40 lakh cover. But then when you're taking a family floater of 10 lakhs, what you get is any person can get covered up to 10 lakhs in that policy year. So this is how a family floater will work. Now, apart from that, so this was your indemnity, comprehensive, individual, and floater. Little bit more addition to it, there are policies which we call multi-individual. So you might say that, okay, I want to remember only one policy. I want to pay it once in a year. So can we not have one policy where I pay for everybody, but everybody should have their own sum insured? Yes, that is possible. So what is that policy called? Multi-individual. When you have a multi-individual policy, advantage, everybody has their own independent sum insured, and when you're combining it and buying it, you're getting a family discount. So it's all the more advantageous that if you want your independent sum insured, have a multi-individual policy. Now, interestingly, the other part of fixed benefits is critical illness. So when we speak about critical illness, what does it mean? So say I'm somebody who's detected, diagnosed, okay, say with cancer. So if one is detected with a cancer, it does not mean that I go to a hospital, get treated and discharged and I'm sorted. No, it does not work like that. So technically, when I have a critical illness policy, okay, rather than before going there, I'll say an example. Say if I'm diagnosed with a critical ailment and say I'm not able to say go and work the same way I was working, so my income might get affected, and the same number of hours I used to dedicatedly work. So in that scenario, critical illness policy immediately comes to my rescue. How? So the moment I'm diagnosed and I'm alive for that number of days as required by the insurance company, the critical illness policy will give me a lump sum within that 30 to 45 days of number of days. Now, when that lump sum money comes, it will help me sail through the time when I will not have enough income, and it will also help to take care of EMIs, children education, and all of that. So another beautiful product that a health insurance have is critical illness. So if you have not bought it, you should buy it today, and generally you should be buying it when you're young. As I already covered earlier, also younger is always better because health insurance companies would want you to be their customers easily, because the moment you catch up on an ailment, insurance companies might want to add loading, which will be an additional amount, or they might want to reject your proposal. So rather buy it when you actually don't need it. So very critical part of insurances as a portfolio when you're building up, buy insurance when you don't need them. That's the day you go and buy, right? So then we go on top up insurance. So top up insurance, again, very, very interesting product which is there in the market. You just need to know which is the right way to buy it. So now when I say top up insurance, it might sound like, okay, top up is something additional, right? Do I really need to buy it? So it depends person to person and need to need. So when I look at, say, top up insurance, when do I buy it? When I want to enhance my insurance, that is the time when you consider a super top up plan. So earlier, the first born was top up insurance, and then the born was super top up. So top up was basically a threshold limit which is defined under a product. Say you have a top up policy of 10 lakhs and a threshold of 3 lakhs. So the top up policy will start only after you cross 3 lakhs of in one single bill. And then there were so many hindrances in that. So then insurance companies came out with a product called Super Top Up, where these hindrances were removed. So when we look at it, how does it work? Basically, when you're looking at a product of Super Top Up, you have a base policy, say 5 lakh. You have a Super Top Up of 10 lakhs with a deductible or a threshold as 5 lakh. So if there is an insurance claim, that point of time, your product will actually trigger, I mean, your super top up policy will trigger and give you the claim from that. So there's a little brief about super top up. We'll move on and I'll cover that more in detail in the slide ahead. Okay, so whenever you buy any insurance product, very, very important point is what you will not be paid for. Very important. Always understand what is an exclusion. In any insurance policy, go and read which is what is excluded and what is included, so that you are very clear that when the claim is going to arise, what will you get paid and what you will not get paid. So a very integral part. So let's talk about inclusions first. What are you covered for? any hospitalization expenses, pre and post hospitalization, daycare treatments, alternative treatment, restoration benefit, health and wellness, and lifelong renewability. So, one highlight I want to share over here, I'm sure you would have known basics of health insurance, but when we're talking about pre and post hospitalization, say you had normal fever, went to doctor, he gave you medication, you got treated, the fever is not coming down, doctor says okay, go and get test done. When you go and get the test done and say you need after the test you come to know that you need hospitalization because of dengue or typhoid, now you go to hospital. So when you get hospitalized, so all the expense that you incurred till hospitalization will be treated as pre-hospitalization. And after discharge, so when you get hospitalized, so your insurance will cover that. After a discharge, whatever charges you paid, that money will get part of your claim and you get the pre-hospitalization. After discharge, when you say doctor says come back for what do you say, follow-up after doing some test, that expense also gets paid as post-hospitalization. So what you need to know, what are the number of days that your insurance is trying to cover, pre-hospitalization number of days and post-hospitalization number of days, integral part of a health insurance policy when you're considering to buy. That's the most important point. And one clarity, that earlier whenever we did a hospital, so when we went to a doctor said 24 hours is important, then only your claim will be paid. So now products have got so evolved that if your doctor says we'll treat this under like 2 hour or 3 hour or 4 hour treatment, you get hospitalized, get treated and go home. You don't need an overnight hospitalization. So that these treatments are called daycare treatments. So when we look at daycare treatments, important that you see the list of the inclusion, which what all ailments are covered. So longer the list, so more ailments you're covered for. So alternative treatments like your Ayush, homeopathic, Ayurveda, and all of that. When we speak about restoration benefit, very integral. That how does restoration work? When restoration will happen when you exhaust your sum insured. So that's an additional benefit which forms part of your policy. I'm going to drink water. Okay, so we covered what your inclusions are. Let's talk about what is excluded. So you purposely went for an adventure sports that and had an accident there. No, it will not get covered. If you say injured yourself, that is not covered. You were part of a war, yes, you're not covered. Dental treatments, so some insurance companies will give you a dental treatment coverage, but after some waiting period and restrictive on the cappings. Then we look at, okay, so when we look at next part, which is any sexuality transmitted diseases, they will not get covered. Then we look at cosmetic surgery. So when we look at cosmetic surgery, what is important is if anything which was required medically, yes, it will get covered. But when we look at something which you want to get beautified by yourself, no, it will not be covered. Then we look at naturopathy treatments, where doctors tell you that, okay, doctors don't tell you, you want to get it treated yourself. So then rather you make sure that it's covered or not. So rather than plunging into and imagining that it's covered, rather get your policy inclusions and exclusions in place, and then go ahead and make sure that your insurance is in place, the right insurance you bought for yourself and family. Then what we next do is go ahead on the next slide. Okay, so I majorly covered, but I'll still run through the points that we spoke about. Key consideration before buying. Now you decided, okay, निशा ने बता दिया है कि health insurance जरूरी है लेना, क्या करें, कैसे करें? So you need to make sure that there are no sublimits on room rent, because the measure of your billings will happen basis your room rent. So there should not be any room rent capping. Then we look at what is the pre-existing disease waiting period. So suppose if I have an ailment today, which is cholesterol, and I want to get treated for that, and I buy insurance today, will it get covered? The answer is no, because whenever there is a pre-existing ailment, we need to declare to the insurance company. They will put a waiting period depending upon the product that I choose. So if the waiting period is less, ranging from 2 years to 3 years to 4 years to 6 years, we need to make sure that you've selected the right product. Now when we go ahead on this what is the cap? And also one more thing we need to know is disease wise capping. When we look at disease wise capping, you should know, so any ailments which are related to uterus, they will have waiting period of 3 to 4 years. Any ailments which are related to, or maybe say cataract, it can happen only after 2 years waiting. Kidney stone, it will happen only after 2 years of waiting. So if you buy insurance today because you have a kidney stone and your doctor has told you to take a done a surgery, no, it will not be covered. So you need to make sure that, again, as I say, insurance, you should have bought it when you don't need it, right? So no co-payment. Co-payments are basically an additional money which you will have to pay from your pocket when the total claim comes up. Pre-existing, I spoke about this. Waiting period, initial and defined ailments, I covered this also. Restoration benefit, we spoke in the previous slide about it. List of network of hospital. Okay, this is a very tricky point. We need to remember. Today you bought an insurance because it's covering the hospitals you want to go to. But these hospital tie-ups keep changing with time. So whenever you renew your policy, just check that, okay, which other hospitals covered in your vicinity. So if there's an emergency, your family can take you there or you can take your family there, right? So then claim settlement ratio, incurred claim ratio, and rewards for healthy behavior. So ratios are basically some mathematical parameters which can still help you shortlist insurance product. And then last part is the rewards for healthy behavior. So suppose you're somebody who do 10,000 steps a day, you are subscribing to gym, you have an instructor, you have a consultant, nutrition consultant. So if you've done all of this, so insurance companies sometimes give you, the product generally has an inbuilt wellness benefit. So the next year when you renew, you'll get a discount. So if your behavior is good towards your health, insurance companies want such customers, right? So these are some key consideration before buying a health insurance. So let's go ahead on the next slide. Benefits of buying early, right? So I have covered major of them, because when you're young, it's cheaper. Insurance companies want you as a client, a customer, because you are fit and fine, less of lifestyle ailment. You get comprehensive coverages, more option to choose from, because you're a good what do you say, young person is always a prefer a customer, because the probability of you claiming is very less, right? There's no medical test required if you buy it younger. Extension to include family members, yes, I covered on floater. And benefits from the cumulative bonus. So yes, some insurance companies will give you a discount when you renew it because you didn't claim, and some insurance companies might give you an additional some insured in form of cumulative bonus. So what is your product's feature and what is your understanding and your requirement, that is what you should be choosing. So let's go ahead on the next slide. Okay, very, very interesting question. Point we have put up over here is how much how much should be the cover amount? Hospital expenses in India can easily cross between 3 to 5 lakhs for a normal treatment and 10 to 20 lakhs for specific ailments. So when we speak about a typical normal treatment, so a normal fever also, if it's prolonging for 7 to 8 days, that's a 1 lakh plus of expenses at a hospital. So that's the average cost. So if you ask me as a financial planner or a QFA, how much should my sum insured be? If you're in a city like Bombay and between your 20s and 30s, at least a 10 lakh cover, I think that's what we generally want you to have. But if there's no capping to your restriction to your budgeting, then 20 lakhs is an ideal cover that you should be looking at. So these are factors: family size, cost of treatment ailments in your city, highest medical claim encountered in the family. So we generally ask this question to people that how has the family history of ailments been, or did anybody ever detect on critical illness? What was the cost last time when you went to an hospital? So these are some parameters to identify what should be your sum insured. And hereditary disease, very, very integral, that if somebody passed away in your family who's like your grandfather, basically grandparents or mother side, then we rather say that, okay, have a coverage enough, which is today, and not think about it tomorrow, right? So that's how you should identify your sum insured. Okay, so common reasons for to buy your health insurance on portability. Very interesting topic. Portability of health insurance. Is it possible? Yes. Answer is yes. You can port your health policy. Suppose you said, okay, Nisha, we heard what you said, but I already have a policy. What do I do? The answer is you can opt for a porting of policy 45 days before the renewal of your existing insurance. When you bought the policy, you didn't have any ailments, but when you are already in the policy, maybe you haven't caught up on lifestyle ailments and you want to go to a better product. Can I go to the better product with the same continuity benefits? Answer is yes. That process is called portability. So why should you port? Because you're not satisfied with the service, the premium which is they are charging and what they are delivering as a sum insured, inadequate cover for specific ailments, slow and cumbersome claim settlement process, lack of transparency and hidden cost, and better deal with other insurance company. So these are some parameters which will tell you that okay, that's the reason you should be porting. Now, what are the portability rules? Very simple. You can go to only from a health insurance company to a health insurance. That's something you cannot go from health insurance to a critical illness. So it has to be similar. Then we look at possible at the time of renewal only. Yes, because insurance policies are a contract. Contracts once laid down, it cannot be changed. So you need to make sure that whenever a contract is laid, it is changed at renewal when it's a general insurance policy. So existing policy has to be active. It cannot be expired policy. Um, yes, you need to make sure that continuity is mentioned, right? So continuity is maintained and you're using the policy. Now we look at 45 days in advance. I already covered on this. Sum insured, increasing cover is possible. Only to the cover so opted should be base cover plus no claim bonus. So technically, if you have a policy of 5 lakhs with a bonus of 2 lakhs, you should be porting to a policy which is at least 7 lakhs plus, so that your bonus is also used up and your waiting periods are also taken care in that for the pre-existing ailment. So technically we'll say that have a 10 lakh policy at least, so that 7 lakhs has no waiting period to anything that you have had or it gets detected recently, so that your continuity remains and insurance company will pay the claim. Then we look at insurance plan, yeah, shifting plan within the same company also. So sometimes insurance companies will come up with innovative products with time and ailments and inflation which happens, right? So then in those situations, you can always go to another plan from the same insurance company. So that is switching of a product within the insurance company. So that is also possible, but you need to take these steps 45 days in advance. Okay, so what do you need for porting? Basically, that's the list that we have specified. Identity proof and address proof. So from 1st of Jan 23, KYC is mandatory. So you need to give your ID proof and address proof. Then we look at previous insurance history. So you need to give 3 years of insurance policies documents, basically. Along with that, any renewal notice that you have received from the insurance company, any declarations that you have to do, and documents like, and suppose if there's an ailment which was treated, you might want to give the discharge summary of that ailment. And for the new insurance, to the insurance company that you're going to, you need to give the proposal form and the portability form. So one portability form is very mandatory. You should be filling it up while doing the portability. Okay, so everybody's favorite topic is this. I mean, I actually interact with so many clients and friends and family. I have a corporate cover. I don't need it. So let's cover on that. Critical to have your own health insurance policy. I've covered on this previously also. I have an employer cover. Do I need one? 38.2% individuals completely depend on employer cover for their medical expenses. So coverages that your corporate cover gives is only till you work with them. So it's very, very important that you know that this is going to get covered only till you work with them. What if tomorrow you want to go and join a startup? At that point of time, if the startup is very small, you might not get covered, right? So it's important that the dependency has to reduce. So limitations of employer health insurance. Employer insurance is a perk, not a right. So tomorrow, if your company decides that we want to reduce the coverages that we are giving to our employees, that can happen. Yes, you can't go back and challenge that because it's an employee benefit which the employer is providing. Right? Limited coverage, yes, it has a restriction as per your grade, only you're covered. Sublimit clauses such as capping on room rent, co-payment. So there are in corporate covers, lot of time ailments are covered only and only basis, say your restricting your ailment. So say pregnancy, we'll give only 50,000. So then maternity cost will, in a city like Bombay, 50,000 is not sufficient. So you rather want to create a backup accordingly, right? Changes in premium rates, yes. If the claim ratio goes higher in the corporate policy itself, the premium will shoot up. So then your other things could get compromised. Discontinuation due to loss ratio, that's what I tried connecting this, and policy tenure limited to employment. Very integral part. So example, say I depend only on my corporate cover and I catch up on say cholesterol and hypertension, and say, and 5 years down the line I don't want to work. I take a pause, I mean I take a stop to my working life and say I'll be home. Now, if I've caught up on a hypertension and my insurance at corporate is getting over because I left the job, then if I have a hospitalization, who's going to pay for it? Because I didn't go and buy earlier. And today, when I want to go and buy it from the health insurance company might quote me premiums which are too exuberant, which I think, according to me, is very high. So, in those scenarios, it will be easier that you have your own policy rather not be depending on the employer cover. Right? When should one look for super top up? So I covered a little bit about what is super top up plan. So here we'll cover a little bit on the super top up part. So here, if you see, if you're looking at any of the scenarios, right, we covered on enhanced coverage at lower premium with range of deductible. Deductible is nothing but a threshold amount that you choose, that after that threshold limit you cross, that is when your super top up policy will trigger or the claims will be paid from the super top up. Now, when you want to enhance your cover because you feel your existing policy is not sufficient, right? You want to save NCB accumulation on your base policy. Yes. So suppose if there's an ailment, say you chose a policy with a lesser of deductible. So your base policy might have a bigger cover, but you chose a deductible with a lesser the threshold. So then, whenever there is a claim, the base you either you pay from your pocket or the base policy has to fund that. So in those such scenarios, when you want to the base policy to trigger at that point of time, your no claim bonus at the base policy might get affected. So these are one of the reasons why people go and opt for a super top up. Useful in case of larger claims, including critical illnesses. So whenever we have a critical illness happening, at that point of time, your super top up comes to rescue very easily. So when critical illness is there, so at critical illness, say example, there is a series of treatment required for cancer. So suppose if I have a base policy, say 5 lakhs, and a super top up policy, say 30 lakhs. So technically, 5 lakhs of base policy and 30 lakhs of super top up. So technically, I am covered for 35 lakhs. When will I get this 35 lakhs? Is only and only when I will start using on the base policy first. Say first hospitalization happened, I had a surgery, and the hospital says my bill is say 7 lakhs. So 5 lakhs is paid from the base policy and 2 lakhs is paid from the super top up. Now, when the super top up is triggered already for 2 lakhs, it means 5 is used from base, 2 lakhs from super top up. So now the 30 lakh may say I have 3 lakhs with me. Now 3 lakhs is gone. I still left with 27 lakhs. In the same policy year, I have a hospitalization again where there's a bill of 5 lakhs. So now directly the super top up will pay the 5 lakh. Again, if I have another claim, say of 10 lakhs, will the insurance company pay? Yes, they will pay because your super top up already triggered during the first claim. So the second claim was paid from super top up, and the third claim will also be paid from the super top up. In such scenarios, when a super top up claim arises, most important part, your base policy and the super top up policy, they both have to be from the same company so that your cashless is seamless. Because if you have say A company in base policy and B company super top up, cashless can be processed only at one place. So make sure whenever you're enhancing your policies with super top up, so what you need to have is not a top up plan, but you need to have a super top up plan. So in case you already have one, go back and check whether it's a top up or a super top up, and next time when it's due for renewal, migrate to a super top up, because at every time for a top up plan to give you coverage, it has to trigger in each claim amount, unlike a super top up policy. So very integral that when we are looking at super top ups, that's how you should be looking at. Now we go ahead on the next part of the topic on the claims procedure. So we learned about basics, which is your health insurance, reasons to buy, how do we buy, and all of this. After claim, very integral part where how do I claim? So when you talk about claims are of two parts. Okay, either it's cashless or it's reimbursement. In which scenarios will it be cashless? If you go to a network hospital, it is cashless. If you go to a non-network hospital, it is reimbursement. So how does it work? Suppose say you have a treatment to be taken care, and you go to a network hospital which is listed on your insurance company's website. You show the insurance card or the policy document, and it's like you check in a hotel. You show the documents and you get a admission done and get the treatment done. So that's nothing but a cashless. Now, when we look at reimbursement claims, what are reimbursement claims? So reimbursement claims basically, you wanted to take a treatment through a doctor which is not in the network. So you go to a non-network hospital, get yourself treated. So what is important? You need to make sure that you go and inform about the to the insurance company about the intimation of the claim. And in such scenario, when you do a claim intimation, it should be within admission 24 to 48 hours within the admission time. So reimbursement claim intimated. Once you take a discharge, relevant documentation is required to be filled up. That is when your reimbursement claim will be paid to you after you get discharged and treated, right? So when we talk about so we covered on the basic on claims. Now we talk about, okay, you had a claim and the insurance company is not willing to pay your claim. So complain kahan karenge? Grievance hogi. So there are two ways where we want to talk about grievances. How does the grievance work, right? So you are unsatisfied with the claim process or anything which was serviceable to you. You are not getting treated in the way the insurance company should have treated to you. So we are going to cover on how to make a complaint, right? Step one, every insurance company generally has a website where they have a section called grievance. So there are grievance metrics put up, that how do you escalate the, so basically another way it is called escalation metrics. So when you look at escalation metrics, that's how it will tell you in what's the turnaround time, TAT, right? For every level for them to respond to you, and how early can you expect or how early can you escalate to the next level. So know that there is a grievance section where your redressal can happen. If you're unsatisfied, you give a complaint. What you do is approach the branch, give a writing complaint, take an acknowledgement so that you are having a documentary evidence, and then so this is how I covered. So this is how you should be approaching, or maybe these days email is very easy. So when we look at easy, your insurance company can work on emails, or you take a ticket number every time you communicate with the customer care service. The other way of looking at grievance redressal is about approaching IRDI. Suppose your claim was not settled in the way, or you're unhappy with the way, or the insurance company rejected your claim, right? So then that point of time, how do you go to the IRDA? There is something called insurance Bima Bharosa. You approach go to the website, complain over there, which is the website you mentioned over here, www.bimabharosa.irdi.gov.in. Put in your details over there, and you can get it redressed. Then is email, send a complaint email, complaints at irda.gov.in, or there's a toll-free number which you can go and complain. So the complaint can send the application in physical also, and there's a application form on the IRDA website. Then the address is listed on the IRDA website where you can send the courier of it. Right, so that's on the grievance that we covered on the two parts, and then we go ahead on the next part where we want to talk about. Okay, I think I'm yes. The most important part, which is Q&A. So yes. I think so. We have Sonam back.
Thank you so much for such an insightful session.
Okay,
Definitely, it was very interesting. I got to know a lot of things today about health insurance, and such a critical part, right, of our lives. We have to have a health insurance. We have a lot of questions, Nisha. I'm so sorry. We're going to take more 10 minutes of yours.
Absolutely okay.
And we're going to just wrap up as soon as possible. So, okay, so first question we have. So yes, Mr. Rohan is asking, is super top up available or applicable in that particular itself? I think he's trying to ask that whether it's allowed to super top up immediately the year they took the health insurance. I hope I understood the question right, please.
Okay, so two parts to this question.
Yes.
Is when we're looking at super topper policy, we generally recommend that you buy it together, which is like with the base policy. Whenever it's due for renewal, generally have it within that 7 to 10 days, because sometimes ailment don't come us at the right time that we think. They come always at the wrong time. So generally have the insurance at the same time, so the renewal happens together and the dates are also same, so that if there are some bigger claims and insurance needs to be triggered in a way where claims are to be settled in both the policies, then it's a best way that have it together.
Absolutely. I hope that answers your question, sir. Our second question is from Mr. Prateek. His question is, why should we take a critical illness plan when we are getting higher coverage in super top-up plan at a cheaper premium compared to the critical illness plan?
Okay. So Prateek, good question. As if you go back and hear my start of the session, critical illnesses will work. It's like a fixed money is given to you as lump sum, right? To sail through the situation that you're going through. And super topper policy will be paid only at actuals, right? So when there is a claim, you go to hospital, get treated. That is the time the hospital will give the insurance will give you the money. But in those times when you are not working or not able to work enough, you're not able to make enough money for your family's living, then critical illness policy will work at that point of time.
All right. We just have one more question, that whether it's important to take travel insurance every time.
Okay, so travel insurance. So suppose if you're talking about the foreign travel, there are annual plans by insurance companies which will cover you at every time you travel. So annual plans, you renew it on the fixed date. So you cover, and there are criteria to it that you can be away from the country only 45 days in each trip. 45 days, 30 days, depending on the plan you choose. Or every time you make a trip, you take a travel insurance.
Okay. We have a question from Twinkle. Her question is, can we port our corporate health insurance to individual health insurance?
Oh, yes, very interesting. We should have covered this. I'll cover it now. So, suppose you're leaving job. Okay. So, corporate to retail, can you migrate? Yes, you can. So, say today is your last working day. You know that in advance, like when is your last working day? 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, whatever your notice period. So, whenever that notice period is there, in that you have to start the process, tell the corporate about it that I want to migrate from group to retail. There is a provision. So when your last working day happens, that is the day when your retail policy will start. So you have to process by filling a proposal form, making a payment, making a provision of your declaration of your ailments. Even for your parents, suppose currently you have a corporate cover where you're doing paying additional money to cover your parents. So in that point of time also, when you're leaving job or you're joining a company who's not going to cover your parents, so that point of time you migrate from group to retail.
Okay.
So your continuity benefits. So most important terminology you need to remember, continuity benefits.
Okay, that's the word for you, Twinkle. And our last question, let's take it from Devangini. She's asking, ma'am, should we buy travel mediclaim policies from Indian health insurance companies for our parents if they are traveling to US or UK for 3 to 6 months? I have this question myself, please.
Yes. So I get this question very often. So if parents are senior citizens, then there's a restriction on Indian travel insurance. Okay, $50,000 is what you get covered for. Now, and if they have pre-existing ailment, then they are not covered. Okay. So specifically for US, if you want to consider in the US there are products which will cover your parents over there with their pre-existing ailment at a much cheaper rate compared to India. So US has this provision. We have this conversation continuously with our clients that, okay, parents are coming to you for 6 months, take that insurance locally over there, have it cheaper so that coverage is there and it's cheap also because they're going to pay in dollar.
Okay.
And in Indian coverages, it will have only limited coverage.
True. I got my answer also for that.
So, and one more thing you need to keep in mind also is that does not mean you don't take coverage in India when they leave from here, because in transit during, when you leave from India, so your baggage loss, passport loss, all of this needs to be covered until the time they land back in India. So these coverages will happen only when you've taken off from India and landing back. So you need to have a coverage from India because the US cover you took there will start only when you land US, right? So very integral part that don't ignore it while they are in the transit also.
True, very true. All right. One last question I would like to take this. Devati Jani is asking this question. Would having just health insurance be enough? I don't own any vehicles. I don't have any dependents. I'm a single woman. Would I need any other insurance apart from health?
Okay, so apart from health, yes, you should have a critical illness cover, as we covered, and also a personal accident policy. I'm sure if you're a working woman, your corporate is covering, but they're covering only till you work with them. So it's important that you have your own independent policy. And suppose you have a future plan of taking a housing loan or getting married, having family, then taking advantage of being young today, have the cost by your side and buy a smaller term plan, which will make sure that your premiums are cheaper compared to when you cross the bridge and you take it that point of time.
True. All right. I hope all your questions were answered. If not, you can always put your questions in the comment section anytime. Nisha Sanghavi personally will be replying to them. If not, we also have at One Finance our VP of Insurance, Manju Dake, who will be personally taking care that all are answered. We'll be back with another masterclass soon. We do this on a monthly basis just so that you master your personal finances. At One Finance, we're making it possible for you all. So thank you again, Nisha Sanghavi,
My
for
pleasure.
joining
Thank you
us
so
today.
much.
And you will be back with us very soon. And you can definitely follow us on all our social channels, on all the platforms where you can master your personal finances with us. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.